الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على عبده ورسوله الأمين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. أما بعد. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. We're still studying the chapter that deals with prayer from this blessed book Umdatul Ahkaam, and we move on to Hadith 106, which deals with what is known in Islam as sutra. And sutra means a screen, a visor, something that a worshipper prays to so that he would indicate to the people that he's praying, so that they would not pass in front of him. It is permissible for them to pass from behind the screen. So we would like to learn the hadiths that deal with this. What is the ruling on praying to a sutra, and what are the etiquettes to take such a thing? We have a number of hadiths that deal with this. The first hadith is hadith number 106. This hadith was narrated by Abu Juhaym ibn Sammah al-Ansari, may Allah be pleased with him. He said that the Prophet of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, if the person who passes in front of another person in prayer knew the magnitude of his sin, he would have preferred to wait for 40 rather than to pass in front of him. Abu Nadr, one of the narrators of the hadith, said, I do not know whether he said 40 days, months, or years. From this hadith, we know that it is sinful to pass between the man's standing point and his prostration position. It is forbidden to pass through that. And it becomes even more forbidden if he was praying to a sutra, if he was praying to a visor. In this hadith, the Prophet did not indicate or say that one has to take a sutra, but he's saying that it is a great sin to pass in front of a worshipper. And scholars did actually give us the space that you're not allowed to pass through. Because imagine if I'm praying in my position and 4 or 5 meters ahead of me, it is almost impossible to tell people not to pass through. Otherwise no one would move in the masjid. However, a worshipper is one of two. Either he's praying to a sutra or a screen, an object which rises above the ground, signifying that he's praying to it and this is his borders, or he's a worshipper who's praying in the open, as a lot of the Muslims do. They pray in the middle of the masjid, nothing in front of them for 20 or 30 or maybe 100 meters. If he's not praying to a sutra, if he's praying in the open, scholars say that you are allowed to walk in front of him only beyond the area where he puts his head on when he prostrates. So the area, the space between his feet when he's standing and where he puts his head when he prostrates, this area is sacred. You cannot pass through it. And as we stated, what is a sutra? A sutra is an object that a person prays to, so that this would be his own space that no one is allowed to pass through. And the sutra can be something, it can be someone, it can be an animal as well. And the Prophet ﷺ, whenever he used to pray to what is similar to the saddle that is put on a camel. And scholars say that it is this high. It's about a foot or so high. And a person can pray to another person sitting in front of him. So if I am in the masjid it's an open area, and there's a worshipper sitting or praying, and I pray so that the distance between me and him is sufficient for me to prostrate, he would be considered as my sutra, as my screen. And I can pray even to an animal. The Prophet ﷺ sometimes prayed to his camel. So praying to an animal, providing that the animal is not going to move, so this is permissible. Why is it not permissible to walk in front of a person who is worshipping Allah Azza wa Jal, who is praying? Scholars say that prayer is a sacred state, and when you pray, you are in the state of calling Allah Azza wa Jal and invoking Him, supplicating to Him. So it's a sacred state that should be respected. And that is why scholars say that in Islam it is prohibited to destroy synagogues or churches or places of worship. The Prophet ﷺ, when he used to send his troops, he used to advise them and instruct them not to destroy places of worship. And so did Abu Bakr, may Allah be pleased with him, and all the caliphs after that. Why? Because people are entitled to worship whom they ever want. And as Muslims, we're told that we are not allowed to demolish, to attack, to harm any synagogue for the Jews or churches for the Christians, because they are places of worship for them, and it should be respected. And in the hadith, the Prophet is telling us that had this person walking in front of a worshipper, had he known, he would have waited for 40 before passing in front of him. In the hadith of Umdatul Ahkaam, it says that had he known the magnitude of his sin, but in the Bukhari and Muslim, this word is not there. It's only had he known, he would have stopped for 40. There is no mentioning of the magnitude of sin, though it is found in other books. But as we've stated before, that all the hadiths in this book is from Bukhari and Muslim, and this phrase is not found in Al-Bukhari and Muslim, so it's a mistake from the compiler who inserted it in his book. The Prophet says, alayhi salatu wasalam, had he known, he would have stopped, or he would have waited for 40. Abu Nadr says, one of the narrators, I do not know whether he meant 40 days or 40 months or 40 years. And even if it was 40 hours, it shows you that the magnitude of the sin is so great that waiting until he finishes his prayer, which would probably take not more than 2 or 3 minutes, that would have been better for you, so that you would not get any of the sins. And scholars say, is 40 intended as a number or not? Some say yes, it is. Others say no. Such numbers in the Arabic language, when mentioned in the Quran, it means that a great number, but not that 40 is intended for itself. For example, Allah says about the hypocrites, seek forgiveness for them or don't seek forgiveness for them. If you seek forgiveness for them 70 times, Allah would not forgive them. So some scholars say 70 times is not intended. It means that no matter how many times you seek forgiveness for them, Allah will not forgive them. And that is why the Prophet said, alayhi salatu wasalam, if I knew that Allah would forgive them, if I sought forgiveness for them 71 times, I would have done that. But the Prophet understood that 70 times here is not meant for 70, it means that a lot of numbers. And likewise, when we hear the hadith of the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, where he tells us that on the day of judgment, hell would be brought in front of the people with 70,000 straps that people pull it from. And with every strap or leash, there are 70,000 angels pulling it. So scholars say that the number is not intended for itself, the 70,000. But it means that there are so many that they are beyond count. And likewise in this hadith, one, if he knew the magnitude of sin, it would have been better for him not to cross, even if he had to wait 40 days, 40 months, 40 years, Allahu A'lam of how many he would have to wait. However, is it permissible for a person to pass in front of worshipper if there is no way out? Scholars say yes. If the worshipper is praying, for example, in front of a door, and this is the only door for the masjid, and there is no way I can go out, scholars say it is his mistake for praying in front of the door, and it becomes permissible for people to pass by. But if there is another way around, you can go from behind him, it is not permissible. We have a short break. Stay tuned, and inshallah we'll be right back. Assalamu alaikum and welcome back. The following hadith deals also with the issue of sutra or the screen. The hadith was narrated by Abu Sa'id al-Khudri, may Allah be pleased with him. He says that I heard the Prophet ﷺ say, if any one of you prays to something that is a screen between him and the people and wanted to pass in front of him, he should prevent him. If he insists and persists, he should turn him away forcibly, for he is a devil, he is a shaitan. The origin of this hadith is that Abu Sa'id al-Khudri, may Allah be pleased with him, was praying once in Medina, and this was after the death of the Prophet ﷺ and Abu Bakr and Umar and Uthman, etc., at the very end of time of the companions' era. And while he was praying to a screen, to a sutra, a young man from the Ansar, another companion, he wanted to pass by. He looked around, he couldn't find, or he didn't find, or he was lazy to find. So he thought that this was the shortest way, so he wanted to pass in front of Abu Sa'id al-Khudri. So Abu Sa'id al-Khudri did this. And as we know, this is the way to prevent people from passing by. The man stopped and then looked around, yet determined, he wanted to go in again. In the Medina Masjid, which is so big. So in this case, Abu Sa'id al-Khudri pushed him so hard in his chest that the boy almost fell. So he went and complained to the Amir, to the ruler of Medina. And the ruler of Medina said, "Oh, companion of the Prophet ﷺ, why did you do this to your nephew, this young chap who is like a nephew to you and you are like an uncle to him?" He said, "Because I heard the Prophet ﷺ say this." What did the Prophet say? The Prophet said, ﷺ, if any one of you prays to something that is a screen between him and the people, and one wanted to pass in front of him, he should prevent him, and if he insists, he should forcibly stop him. The Arabic word فَلْيُقَاتِلْهُ, which translates to he should fight with him, because he is a devil. This is the action of a devil if he insists on doing this. So scholars say it is so important, it is so sinful to pass in front of a worshipper if he's praying to a screen, to the extent that you must do what it takes to stop him. So you should notify him by putting your hand out or saying Subhanallah or anything to bring to his attention that he is doing something wrong. If he insists, you must prevent him. And if he continues, you must fight with him. But scholars say that you are not allowed to use any weapons. You are not allowed to kill him. For example, you have to prevent him, even by force. However, they say if he dies while you're preventing him, or if you push him and he dies, you have no burden or no sin, and you're not requested to pay the blood money. Why? Because he is the aggressor, and you were simply doing what Islam told you to do. And they gave another example. For example, what happens if I poke someone's eye? Definitely this is a sin, and I have to pay the blood money for that. However, the Prophet told us, alayhi salatu wasalam, that whoever sneaks and tries to look into our houses from a hole or from an opening or from the window, and he tries to do this, we have the right to poke his eyes. And there is nothing, no burden on us. Why? Because he's the aggressor. He's the one who's doing something that is haram, and he's trespassing on my privacy, and that is why he deserves what he gets. Likewise, a person who wants to walk in front of me while I'm praying to a screen, I am entitled to prevent him, and if not, I may fight with him and push him. However, you're not allowed to engage with him in grappling and put him in the because this takes you out of the mood of prayer. You're not allowed to wrestle with him. You're not allowed to do a lot of extra movement in prayer. You're only entitled to push him or to prevent him, or to move a little bit forward to prevent him or stop him from moving in front of you, but you should not do anything more than that. What is the ruling on taking a sutra? The majority of scholars say that it is a sunnah and it is recommended. There are few scholars who said that it is mandatory, and if you don't pray to a sutra, your prayer is invalid, but their opinion is not the most authentic one. The most authentic opinion is that it is a sunnah and it is highly recommended. Among the benefits of the sutra is that it restricts your sight from wandering, and this is known by experience. If you pray to a sutra, you never look ahead or at people. You always restrict your sight to beyond the sutra from your sight. So this adds a lot of value to those who pray, because it makes them concentrate more when they pray by not wandering and looking right, left or center. Also, among the benefits of sutra is when people walk in front of you, you may say, I have no problem, my prayer is okay, but actually by them walking in front of you, this would distract you, and hence it would reduce the reward you would get for prayer. So the sutra acts as a screen that completes your prayer and prevents anything from cutting in. The sunnah is that a person draws closer to the sutra, to the screen. So it would not be permitted that I have 3 meters distance between me and my sutra, because this is burdening people, and it would not act as a sutra. The most preferred and liked manner is to have your sutra exactly next where you put your head, so there is no gap, and people would identify it the minute they see you praying to an object or to a pillar or to a wall. They know that this is your private space, which they are not allowed or entitled to walk through. However, the Prophet ﷺ himself, whenever he prayed to a wall, he would draw so close to it, but even when there's a sheep or a goat that wants to pass by between him and the wall, the Prophet ﷺ used to walk until he sticks his belly in the wall, so that the sheep or the goat moves behind him. Though if the sheep or the goat moved in front of him, it would not nullify his prayer, but it would reduce the reward it would reduce the perfection of the prayer. And that is why from this hadith and other hadiths we learn that you should not let anyone pass by in front of you while you are praying to a screen. You have to stop them. Don't take it easy. Sometimes we see children walking and moving, and one of the children wants to pass by, and we say in ourselves, because he's a child, it's okay. No, you should teach the child, prevent him. If this is not possible, walk a little bit, a step or two in front, so that he would walk behind you. But scholars say, what happens if I were praying and someone came and passed and went? Should I catch him and bring him back again? They said no, this would be twice the time making him pass in front of you. If he passed and gone, khalas, it's over. You cannot get him back. But if he wants to pass, you have to stop him. Secondly, who is entitled to take a sutra? The imam and the individual. Is the ma'moom requested or instructed to take a sutra, to take a screen? No, he's not. Why? Scholars say because the imam's sutra is a screen to everyone behind him. And that is why if the followers, the ma'mumun, they're praying behind an imam, and someone wants to walk in front of them, should they prevent him? No. The imam is the one who stops people in front of him. But us as followers, us as worshippers behind the imam, we do not have to do this. And there is a hadith that backs this up, or a number of hadiths, and the most famous one is the hadith of Ibn Abbas, may Allah be pleased with him and with his father, which we will inshallah get to read later on. Not today, because I don't think we have enough time for doing it today. Now we have a situation which is, if you go to Al-Haram in Mecca, you will find that it is an open area, and at times of Hajj or in the times of seasons, it is not extremely difficult, it is impossible to wait until people finish their prayer, because you're talking about hundreds of thousands praying at the same time. So you stop for this one praying to a sutra, after he finishes you move one step, and then there is another one, and a third, and 100, and 1,000,000. So Ibn Taymiyyah, may Allah have mercy on his soul, says that the Haram of Mecca is exempted from this. And if a woman or a man pass in front of you in Haram, you do not stop them, whether you're praying behind an imam or praying on your own, because the Haram is exempted due to the fact of its nature. This is all the time we have until we meet next time. Fi amanillah. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.